Welcome to the Road to a Million call. And today's topic, am I with the wrong person? Katie, can you answer that question? Yeah, guys, this is the partnership test. Yeah, this is the partnership test. And I don't think I've ever shared this publicly, but Katie and I ended our 1 year anniversary by asking a question that most couples will say in their head, but they would never say it out loud. Am I with the wrong person? And that night almost finished our relationship. And so let me take you back. That was 11 years ago. And it was 12 years ago that Katie and I actually met today, March 16th, 2014. Our first date was at the Bozeman Hot Springs. Katie and I were set up by two mutual friends who they were dating at the time, and they thought that Katie and I would hit it off. We didn't. See, Katie was actually going through a divorce at the time, and Katie brought her 4-year-old daughter on our first date. Yeah, so we swam around this hot springs awkwardly, barely saying a word to each other the entire night. I personally thought she was very standoffish. Katie?
I personally thought he was very egotistical.
But at the end of the night, we separated our differences and we walked out together, and Katie actually started asking me some questions, opening up a little bit. And I walked with Katie over to her car, and I watched her buckle her 4-year-old daughter into the car seat. That 4-year-old daughter's name was Kobe. And Kobe looked at her mom and acknowledged me for the first time that night. She said, "Mommy, is that your new friend?" And my first thought was, I'm not sure if we're going to be friends after tonight. That first night was awkward, but something kept me wanting to learn more about Katie. So I just kept finding excuses to hang out with her. And eventually it got less awkward. And eventually we actually started to have some fun. About 2 months in to us having fun, Katie dropped a bomb on me. She told me like she felt like she needed to give it one more serious try with her soon-to-be ex-husband, which was Kobe's dad. I was actually very caught off guard. And honestly, I was actually pretty sad. And I normally don't get sad. I'm very much like I'm an angry sad. But I also understood. And so they ended up hiring a marriage therapist to help work through their issues. But after the very first session, the therapist gave them advice that went completely against the therapist's own self-interest. Katie, what did he say?
Yeah, he said we should probably part ways and not be together.
And so when Katie told me this, I did everything I could think of to make sure that this type of situation didn't happen again. And 10 months later, on our 1-year anniversary, meetiversary, as we call it now, Katie and I booked a weekend getaway. This time to Chico Hot Springs, which was about an hour outside of Bozeman. And we soaked in the hot springs during the day, had dinner at the restaurant, and we danced the night away in this little saloon with a live band. It was a great night with a great human. But when we got back to our hotel room, I worked up the courage to confront some issues, and really it was one big issue that I've been holding on to for probably a year at this point now. And it was issues about how Katie was parenting Kobe. An issue that most would have seen probably to be none of their business. But what I saw was that if our relationship was actually going to work and it was going to continue to grow and expand, like this was a very important issue. Now, when I confronted this issue with Katie, mind you, my ability to give feedback was very bad. And Katie's ability to receive feedback, probably worse. And that led to our 1-year anniversary with Katie crying all night and me feeling like an idiot for even bringing this issue up. But over the next 11 years, Katie and I had many hard conversations that have led to many tears, many nights where we refused to speak to each other. We even once had weeks where we didn't speak to each other. But here's what I want you to understand, is that those moments of friction gave us the opportunity to actually get on the same page. Those moments of friction have now prevented future friction from returning. We had every opportunity to avoid these conversations. We could have took the easy path and just ignored them, swept them under the rug, pretended like they didn't exist. Everything is just good. But instead, we chose to grow our connection, grow our relationship through confronting these problems, these issues. And the strength of our relationship today is built on hard conversations, the ones that we've had over and over again. And so today, Katie and I are going to share something that we've never shared publicly before. We're calling it the partnership test. Over time, Katie and I have realized something very important. Most couples spend their time managing problems. But great relationships don't manage problems. They design systems so the problems stop appearing. Now, this idea, guys, should sound familiar because great business owners do the exact same thing. This is important. Fault and responsibility are two different things. You may not have caused the problem, but you're responsible for fixing it. That's what ownership looks like in your business and in your partnership. Let me ask you guys a question. If you guys had to give your partner a score from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the freaking worst, what would it be? What would you score your partner right now? I want you to hold that number in your head because everything I'm about to share, it might change how you just scored them. Kate and I used to score each other every single week. My thought process was every business, every successful business has a scoreboard. So I believed our partnership should have one too. And we answered 4 questions every single week in order to get to the score. Katie, you want to share what these questions are?
Yeah, the first question was, did we get the intimacy we needed?
Yeah.
The second question.
That's sex, guys. And that's touching, that's feeling, that's like connection. Do you actually feel connected to this person? All right, what's the next one, Katie?
Did we spend enough quality time together?
That doesn't mean you just sat on your phones next to each other while you guys both doom scrolled. Did you guys actually interact? Are you guys chasing goals together? Did you guys grow together? Quality. What's the next one?
Based on 1 to 10, what's your overall score this week?
And then the last one?
What's one thing you can do to raise your score next week?
Yeah, this exercise was super helpful. It was super helpful. Because like I said in the very beginning, I was bad at giving feedback. Katie was bad at receiving feedback. And both probably the other way around too. Katie was also bad at giving feedback, and I was also bad at receiving feedback as well. And so this exercise taught us how to both give feedback and also receive feedback. And it just came from the person who we cared about the most. And the people who we care about the most create the most emotional charge inside of us. This exercise forced friction in our relationship. And this forced friction helped us confront the little things before they became big things. And guys, the little things always are what become big things. So I asked you earlier to rate your partner, but let me give you a framework in which you can actually have something to rate your partner on. Okay. A 6 out of 10 partner avoids problems. A 7 out of 10 partner reports problems. An 8 out of 10 partner solves problems. A 9 out of 10 partner prevents problems. But a 10 out of 10 partner, they create momentum. They don't just make life work, they make life better. 10 out of 10 partners help you transition from trying to run away from pain to moving towards gain. So, with that scale, I want you to think about now, where does your partner land at? Now, as business owners, the way you show up in your partnership at home is the same person who shows up in your business. Great companies and great relationships run on the same standard: ownership. Now, if you guys were on here a couple weeks ago, it was episode 103. A players don't chase money, they chase vision. I mentioned the ABC test. So this is the ABC test where you actually can rate your employees on your team. And so this is a very similar concept, guys. But if you actually want to go see it where it's actually your employees on your team, your teammates on your team, go listen to that. Go listen to that episode. Okay. Now, for years, Katie and I rated each other. How good of a partner were you this week? But there was one small tweak to this question that transformed our relationship. The real question wasn't, what score do they deserve? The real question was, what score do I deserve? It was in that moment that we were able to be empowered to take ownership over our experience in the relationship. It was no longer what Katie does to me, it's what I do for the relationship. Now, Katie and I have read a lot of relationship books. We bought relationship courses. We even had a marriage coach. Okay. And most of the ideas and the concepts from them have been totally fine. They're all good, right? But there's one idea that changed how we operate today. And it's, love isn't something that you wait to receive. It's something you choose to practice. Love does not happen by accident. Love happens on purpose. Love is not a feeling. It's an intentional action. And so here is what the actions look like. So a 6 out of 10 partner avoids responsibility. Their problem is they have no clarity on who owns what. How many of you guys have seen the School of Hard Knocks channel where the kid, he goes around and he interviews these very successful entrepreneurs, millionaires and billionaires. He asks them how much money they made in a single year, and he asks them what their best financial advice is to the younger generation. How many of you guys have seen some of these interviews that he's done? Right? Yeah. Katie sent me one of those clips from the CEO of Chipotle. And I thought it was very relevant to this conversation. So Katie, why don't you share that message that the CEO of Chipotle shared inside his little interview?
He said, there's a difference between responsibility and accountability. If you and I are both responsible for a task, who's accountable? No one. We may share responsibility, but one person has to be accountable to ensure that the job actually gets done.
Yeah. I believe this is the biggest problem in most partnerships. And it's right there. Nobody is accountable for the outcomes. Everyone always has their finger pointed out. because you guys didn't sit down and choose to who needs to have the finger pointed in. And guys, this fix is really simple. But will you do it? Here's the fix. You create a master responsibilities list. All the things that is required to make your partnership work. After you create this master responsibilities list, then you create 2 separate lists. One for you, one for your partner. And then you begin to take the responsibilities from that master list, you take that, and then you start to put it on each of your individual lists. Now, you may share some of these responsibilities, but there needs to be one person who's accountable. And that's the person whose list that responsibility goes on. There are no duplicates. You cannot put multiple responsibilities on both lists. It needs to go on one person's list, even if you share the responsibility. So that way, when a problem comes up, there's no confusion, there's no blame, there's no negotiation. It's very clear who is accountable for the outcome. That is the work that is required in order for you to have clarity, so that way the finger can be here rather than, I thought you were doing that. Those are the little things that turn into big things. A 7 out of 10 partner, their action is, there is no action. They wait. They're afraid to act without permission. They're scared of making mistakes. They fear failing. They just want to be perfect. They want to be the perfect spouse, partner. Here's the solution. Reinforce your partner for making decisions, especially when their decisions lead to mistakes. This creates evidence that it is okay not to be perfect. And evidence is what creates confidence to make the decision again next time. Guys, making a decision is a skill. It's a skill that if you don't practice, you're not going to get better at it. Make the decision. Reinforce your partner for making the decision. That's how they move up. 8 out of 10 partner. 8 out of 10 partners solve problems. They see it. They handle it. You don't need to prompt them. But here's the trap, is that they start solving their partner's problems too, which looks generous on the surface. But the unintended message to your partner is, I don't think you can handle it. So instead of doing it for them, teach them and reinforce them for when they do solve their own problems. Give them attention. Let them know you see them. Because if you continue to solve their problems today, you better expect to solve their problems tomorrow. And when all of a sudden you get upset because you didn't solve their problem because they expected you to, that's how we create a disconnect in the relationship. It's having the discipline to stay in your own lane because you know what your responsibilities are, you know what you own, even if you have the capability to solve their problems. Because it's not about you, it's about them. Empower them that they can do it. Believe in them. A partnership takes 2 owners, not 2 helpers. A 9 out of 10 partner prevents problems. They don't wait for problems to happen. They build systems to prevent them. Financial systems, health systems, quality time systems. These systems give clarity on what we're going to do with money, give clarity on sleep, on food, screen time, quality time. You guys want to know the best way to be debt-free? I'm talking specifically consumer debt. Never get into debt in the first place. You guys want to know the best way to be in shape? Never get out of shape. This is what systems look like to prevent problems from happening. Most people focus on solving problems all day long. 9 out of 10 partners focus on how to prevent these problems from even showing up. A 10 out of 10 partner creates momentum. They actively make life better. But here's the key. It starts from the inside out. They don't focus on you. They focus on them. They increase their value. They learn how to generate more income. They master self-control. They serve without keeping score. They sacrifice without making it into a big deal. They make you feel better every time you're around them. There are two kinds of energy in a relationship. We have push energy, we have pull energy. Push energy tells you what to do. And what is your natural response when someone pushes on you? You push back. Pull energy doesn't demand, it attracts. And what is your natural response to pull energy? You lean in. A 10 out of 10 partner has pull energy. They don't pressure you. They don't make you. They don't try to make you get better. They inspire you. They show you. They pull you into believing that your life is destined for something great. Something so big, it requires both of you working towards it together forever. So how do you put this into practice? How do you actually make this useful? How do you change your behavior? Kate and I have been doing a weekly partnership meeting for the last 7 years now. And it's an opportunity for us to have a conversation about how to get better. And this meeting is really wrapped around 3 departments: health, finances, and family. And the key is that we have goals and we have milestones on how to win all 3. Because Kate and I were just talking about this morning. When you don't have goals, it doesn't give you clarity on how to make day-to-day decisions. But if you have clarity on what the goal is, then when you come into a situation where you don't know the answer, because you're gonna have so many of those situations, you just ask yourself a really simple question: what behavior aligns with my goal? When you have no goal, you have no filter. And so if you want to make this call, this podcast that you're currently listening to, valuable, my recommendation would be start your meeting with your partner this week. Write your responsibility list down. Give each person the accountability for each responsibility. And I remember doing this when we first started this, and I would ask myself this question: what score would I give myself as a partner today? See, 11 years ago, Katie and I ended our 1-year anniversary asking a terrifying question: am I with the wrong person? And looking back now, I realize the real question wasn't whether we were with the wrong person. The real question was, am I willing to become the right partner? I've watched this same question be able to change businesses, change the business owner. It's the same people who struggle in business are the ones who don't have a clear picture of what they're doing, where they're going, clear milestones, clear goals. They're working hard. They're facing challenges, adversities, but they're just focused on the wrong things. They're working hard on the wrong things. They're managing problems when they could be installing systems that prevent problems from even happening. And guys, this is the biggest reason why Katie and I actually do coaching calls, right? Why we coach people inside this community. The reason why we do free game plan calls for people who are not inside coaching, right? These free game plan calls that we do, we have nothing to sell you on there. You can't actually give us money on this call. Crazy. They're intended to help you get clarity on your business, to help you get honest with where you are in your business. Kind of like how Katie and I had to do those with our partnership meetings. Katie, do you remember those first couple meetings?
I will never forget.
Yeah.
Yes. I dreaded it. Every Saturday night, I would sweat like in my sleep because Sunday morning we had our partnership meeting, and I knew I was going to be called out where I was falling short, and it doesn't feel good to hear that you need to improve.
Yeah. It also doesn't feel good when you have to tell somebody that you're not doing what is required in order for us to hit the goals. It doesn't feel good on either sides. It's not fun. But it wasn't fun.
It does also feel good to, what does feel good is that somebody actually sees greatness in you and sees a gap between where you currently are and where your potential is.
Yeah. Confrontation is caring, guys. And that's something that I wish I would have known 12 years ago. Wish I'd known 11 years ago. It took us this long to be able to figure out is like that confrontation means you actually care. Letting somebody know that like they're coming up short, it's easier to avoid that. It'd be easier to just ignore it. It'd be easier just to go our separate ways and just say, you know what, our relationship didn't work. And that's just baloney. It's just not true. It's that you didn't do the work. You didn't have the courage to say the thing that needed to be said. You didn't have the courage to change your behavior. You didn't have the courage to just tell the person what you needed. Tell the person what you thought. You didn't have the courage to just sit there and listen and try to understand what that person had to say. To try to understand that perspective. To believe that maybe there's a different perspective to this that maybe you need to learn. And maybe you thought the point of the argument was to win, to be right, when the goal would just be with the right person. And so, very similarly, that's what these game plan calls that we've been doing now is to help people in their businesses, not your relationships. Don't try to bring your relationship stuff to us in this meeting, right? Brings your business problems. So we can help you get clarity on that, on where you want to go. And sometimes the problem with getting clarity on where you want to go is that you realize you're very far away. But that's what's required in order for you to start making progress on closing the gap on where you are versus where you want to be. And so if that sounds like something that you're interested in, James will drop the link. Or if you listen to this on podcasts, it'll be somewhere down below. And if not, that's okay too. But either way, stop waiting for your partner to change. You change. That's what ownership looks like in your partnership, and that's also what it looks like in your business. Katie, you were saying something right before we got on this call that you were talking about the people who don't have partners right now, people who are looking for partners. I thought this was like really important, and if you do have a partner, it's just as equally as important as well. So why don't you share with me or share with everybody what you were talking about with regards to people who don't have partners or looking for partners, which also, if you have a partner, keep paying attention because it's also valuable for you too.
Yeah, I think it's just simplified if you don't already have a partner. But you guys will notice that we went from grading each other, like I grade Logan, to self-grading. And the most important relationship you will ever have in your life is the relationship that you have with yourself. And how honest you can be with yourself will also be how honest you can be with your partner when you do get the opportunity to have a partner. So the same evaluation, I think, is even more important for somebody who doesn't have a partner to start today setting the standard of what you tolerate with your relationship with yourself, because what you tolerate with your relationship with yourself will be the inspiration to what you tolerate for the relationship with your spouse.
Although this was about a partnership meeting, like the most important person in the partnership is you. That's the person who determines the success of the partnership. And
also the only person that you have control over in the relationship. So as much as I wanted Logan to be less egotistical and kinder and talk to me like he cared about my feelings, I could not control that. All I could control was my response to how he communicated to me to be able to reinforce communication that I did like from him in different moments. So hopefully he changed behavior, but ultimately I was only in control of my response.
I was saying this earlier, but if you guys want your businesses to grow, it's going to be you personally growing. And I think one of the greatest values outside of a business's ability to generate income and to provide financial freedom for you is that it also is the vehicle that can force you, coerce you into becoming a better human being. And so, Katie and I were talking about this. There's probably some people in here whose relationships, their partnerships, is better than their business. And there's some people in here whose businesses are better than their partnerships. And so it can go, one of those can be like, one of those is probably stronger for you, and use the strength of one of those to then make the other one better. Because as you guys have seen here, the principles are similar. The focuses are different. The inputs are different. But it all goes back to what Katie said earlier. It's you getting better. It's you focusing on you. It's pointing the finger, not outward, but inward. It's creating momentum. And you create momentum in a partnership in your business from the inside out. It starts with you.
I think the base fundamental understanding for me in our partnership meetings was also that I wanted to wait. I was very much in fear. I was the 7 out of 10 that Logan was explaining. I was terrified of making the wrong decision. I wanted to be told what to do, and then I would be really good at whatever I was told to do. And I think in those moments, I was waiting for somebody to tell me what I needed to be good at before I just tried to be good at something. And when I gave myself permission to just not be good at it at first, it was freeing because then I could actually confront the conversation, start the conversation, have the conversation, and be okay with not being great at it. Because the only way to actually get better at decision making or whatever your weakness is to actually be okay not being good at it, but doing it anyways.
Yeah. That's a super skill in life. That's one of the messages that I share with my kids, I share with them in my, I just try to share it as much as I possibly can, is that you will never be good at something on accident. You're never a natural at anything. I just hammer that so hard with my kids. Like, guys, anytime I hear it, I just stop it. I'm like, you are not natural at anything. Like, you think you're natural because your practice, it looks like fun for you. You don't even realize you're getting reps in. Nobody is good at something on accident or they're natural at it. It's a farce. Even if it's true, it's not a belief that we're going to have in our family. Because I think it hurts more than it helps. And the irony is, I'll sort of this all the way back now to Katie's ex-husband. His name is Nate. He's actually a phenomenal athlete, really good. But his biggest problem was that he thought he was naturally good at something. He thought he was a naturally good husband. He thought he was a naturally good father. He thought he was a naturally good athlete, and that those things crushed him. They crushed him because when he felt resistance, he didn't feel like he had to try because he said, I never had to try before. I never had to work hard for something. And so the moment that he felt any resistance, he just stopped. And it's crushing, guys. It's crushing. You don't want that belief. It's such a hurtful belief to believe that anything happens on accident or you're naturally good at something. It's just not true. It's just not true. And so it's not a mistake that I'm going to let my kids believe in my household is that you're good at naturally anything. I'm not naturally good at anything. Katie's not naturally good at anything. And the only way we get good at something is because we went through the adversity, went through the challenges. Now, some of those things we enjoy doing, so it doesn't make it hard. The irony, okay, I go to the gym. That's a confession. I have a confession. I go to the gym, guys. Okay, I have a confession. And so I actually go to 2 gyms. So Lucas was down here. Lucas and Jessica moved down here. So the old gym that I went to is next to the house that they're living in. But I'm going to a new gym now, which is a little bit closer to my house. But probably one of the biggest reasons I'm going to it is because nobody talks to me at this new gym because I don't let them talk to me. But there's one person at this new gym who talks to me. And it was actually my fault because I saw this guy wearing like a Montana shirt. So I was like, oh, Montana. So I went and talked to him, and then dang it, now I got this guy who talks to me all the time, right? He's a lone person who talks to me at this gym. But last week, it was like on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, he flags me down at the gym, right? And we start chatting. And when I first met him, he had his boot on his leg. He actually tore his Achilles playing pickleball, right? So he was going through rehab. He got the boot off, and he's talking about how his leg it's not getting as strong, right? It's not getting as strong as the other leg is. And then he made this subtle comment. He's yeah, like I have to work so hard in order for me to get stronger and to get any muscle. And, and guys like you just probably walk into the gym and like you can just look like you do without even trying. And he said it so subtly, but also so matter of fact, like there's no possible way that I could look like I do and work as hard as he does. That's basically what he meant, right? Now, I didn't say this to him because it doesn't matter, but I just want you guys to understand that this type of thinking is actually what most people believe. And that's probably what a lot of you guys believe. Like you guys believe that Katie and I are rich because it happened on accident, because we were fortunate, because we were in a different business, because Alex and Layla, because of whatever stupid reason that you guys have in your head that like we are special. And I just want to remind you that my first 3 years in business, I made much less than every single person in here. I came from way less than almost every single person in here. And I got here on purpose. Katie has a relationship. You're like, oh my God, it'd be so much easier if I had a spouse like you did, somebody who was bought into business and all these things. First off, Katie was never a part of the business for a long time. And our relationship, I shared with you guys today, like very awkward for a very long time. Not good for many periods of it. And everything that we have today happens on purpose.
And Logan's calves definitely started smaller than the guy in the gym.
Oh, calves. Yeah. So funny. But it's just the belief. That's what this whole call goes back to, is just ownership. It's not somebody else, it's you. Like you're not where you want to be in your partnership because of you and your behavior, your thought process, the work you've done. Same thing in your business. You're not where you want to because of you. You haven't done what's required in order for the business to grow. You haven't done what's required for your partnership, your relationship to grow. A lot of people, when it comes to hiring people and wages, I find that so many people want to get paid like an expert with entry-level skills. And I find that a lot in business as well. People want to make $200,000 a year, but you have $20 an hour skills, and you're not willing to actually go learn how to make $50 an hour, how to make $100 an hour, how to make $1,000 an hour. You're not willing to go through the shit. You're not willing to go through the pain. You're not willing to go through the sucking phase. So I mentioned Lucas earlier today. I'm not sure if Lucas is on here anymore, but we were talking about him as a coach. We were talking about it, and I just basically told him as blunt as possible. I was like, you're not good yet. You're getting better. And the only way you're going to get better is by you actually doing it when you're not good. It is the same system. And so if you guys can take that into your partnership, you can take that into your business and just understand that, have the humility to learn, and just realize that if you're not where you want to be, it's because of you. Not because of your market, not because of your partner, not because your mommy and daddy have issues, because you were raised a certain way. Yeah, you believe it. You still act that way. You still use that as a reason. Like, it's still you. Like, it's your response. Katie said it so well. Whatever happens to you, not in your control. How you respond to it, that's on you. All right, I'm done. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys for giving us opportunity to open up about this. And yeah, hopefully this is valuable. You guys can make it valuable by taking something from today, taking action, changing your behavior, confronting a conversation, doing the scary thing, and also just realizing that like nothing happens on accident. Everything happens on purpose, whether it's growing a $1 million business, whether it's growing a relationship, whether it's growing a connection with your kids, your immediate family. Take ownership over it. If you want to be a business owner, also be the owner of your life. Own it. So we'll be back next week. Another episode, another lesson. And appreciate you guys for consistently showing up, and we'll be sharing more updates on Gilbert. And and that's all I got. Katie, you got anything else?
Yeah, I just have one more nugget. I think the question, the $1,000,000 question of, am I the spouse that I need to be for my partner? You can frame this question around any goal in your life. Did my actions today align with my goal?
Yeah.
Rate it on a 1 to 10 scale. That's it.
I appreciate you guys. See you guys next week.